There was a moment during the Bad Batch where I actually paused the episode and said out loud, "Wait, are they trying to be Andor?" Because suddenly there was a tense moral standoff, someone questioning their loyalty, and moody lighting like a noir film shot on Camino. And for a second, I thought they were really going for it. The gritty post-war clone story we never got in the movies. But then 5 minutes later, we're chasing an alien crab through a jungle, while Wrecker screams like he's in an animated slapstick sketch. And I just sat there wondering, how do we go from clone PTSD to Saturday morning cartoon in one commercial break? It's like someone dared the writers to mix Andor with Scooby-Doo and never looked back. Tonally, it's all over the place. Like they're scared to commit to being serious in case a 10-year-old loses interest. And that's the thing. The show wants to have it both ways. It wants to be thoughtful and weighty, but still sell action figures with zany adventures and light banter, which would be fine if they didn't keep hinting at something deeper. They'll drop a heavy scene about clone oppression or betrayal, then immediately follow it with Omega giggling about Mantel Mix. It's emotional whiplash in stylized armor. I don't hate the show. That's the annoying part. I want to like it. I see flashes of brilliance in characters like Crosshair and Echo. I see potential in the story of soldiers discarded by their own empire. But for every powerful moment, there's 10 minutes of running errands for Sid, like we're stuck in the world's most tedious side quest. It's like watching a great novel being constantly interrupted by cereal commercials. And yet, I keep coming back. Because underneath all the filler and tonal weirdness, there's still a story worth telling. A story about identity, about purpose, about loyalty in a galaxy that keeps shifting the rules. And every now and then, the show leans into that potential just long enough to pull you back in. It's frustrating, it's uneven, but it's never boring. In this video, we're breaking down how the Bad Batch tried to channel Andor with clones and conscience, but tripped over its own tone like a stormtrooper on ice. We'll dig into where it worked, where it wobbled, and why the show keeps swinging between emotional depth and Saturday cartoon chaos. Because somewhere in the rubble of all this confusion, there's still a great story waiting to break through. When the Bad Batch first hit screens, it felt like Disney was finally pulling a bold move. A gritty follow-up to the Clone Wars, set during the galaxy's most fragile moment. No Jedi, no chosen ones, just broken soldiers with free will trying to survive in a world that didn't ask for them. That alone had people curious what happens to clones when the war ends and they're no longer useful. On paper, this should have been Star Wars gold. We're talking about elite clones, genetically tweaked and mentally independent, watching their entire purpose dissolve overnight. These guys were bred for loyalty, trained for combat, and suddenly had to decide whether to follow orders or follow their conscience. That's a setup straight out of a prestige drama pitch. Throw in a collapsing republic, the rise of the Empire, and a galaxy in confusion, and you've got everything you need for a deep, character-driven story about identity and disillusionment. It's like they had all the parts for a Star Wars version of Andor, but with way more scars and a lot less snark. And let's be real, who doesn't want to know what happens to these walking contradictions after the war ends? Clones were always treated like background noise or cannon fodder, even when they had names and personalities. So giving them center stage felt like overdue justice. A way to finally answer the question, what happens to the soldiers when the cause disappears? And then, we got the actual show. And it's like all that promise went straight out the airlock. Because instead of diving deep into trauma, ideology, or internal conflict, we spent entire episodes chasing alien lizards or dealing with pirates that felt like knockoffs from a Forgotten Treasure Planet spin-off. It's hard to feel the weight of war when half your season feels like a cartoon scavenger hunt. Let's talk about pacing or lack thereof. The show stumbles between important story beats and filler like it's allergic to momentum. 1 minute we're learning about clone rights being stripped away. The next we're watching Wrecker complain about snacks while Omega tries to win a race on a desert planet. It's emotional whiplash without the payoff. And don't even get me started on character arcs. Hunter is stoic, Crosshair broods, Tech explains things, Echo has maybe 3 moods. And Omega, bless hers, constantly in a cycle of, you're not ready to actually never mind, you're totally ready. The writers hint at growth, but rarely commit. It's like the emotional equivalent of running in circles while holding a moral compass that's spinning out of control. Even Crosshair, who has the best arc in the show, ends up sidelined for long stretches just when things get interesting. His internal conflict should have been the heart of the series. Instead, we cut away just as it gets good, like the show's afraid to linger on anything too heavy for more than 5 minutes. There's a real sadness to how the Bad Batch handles its most meaningful themes. Because at its core, this should have been a tragic story about abandonment, about being discarded by the very system you were created to protect. These are clones without a war, without a home, and without a future. and that's quietly devastating. You catch glimpses of that sorrow in the quieter episodes. When Rex shows up and talks about other clones going into hiding. When the batch sees their brothers replaced by stormtroopers and realizes the galaxy has moved on without them. Those are the moments when the show brushes up against something powerful, and then it cuts away like it's afraid to sit in the silence. The most heartbreaking part is how disposable these characters feel within their own narrative. Echo leaves to fight for clone rights and barely gets mentioned again. Crosshair suffers isolation and betrayal, only to be forgotten until the plot demands his return. Even Tech's death, assuming it sticks, feels like a note in the margins rather than a gut. You can sense that the writers know how painful this world could be, that they're circling around these themes of grief, purpose, and brotherhood with the right ideas. But for every step toward that weight, they throw in a goofy side quest that drains the momentum like an airlock leak. It's not just disappointing, it's kind of tragic. Because when the show chooses to be honest about what these clones are going through, it's haunting. But when it shies away, it feels like watching someone drown while pretending everything's fine. Now, credit where it's due. When the Bad Batch leans into the drama, it can absolutely hit. There are scenes that genuinely deliver, not just as clone stories, but as standout moments in the Star Wars universe. When Crosshair executes that commanding officer in cold defiance. When Clone Force 99 watches Kamino get erased from existence. Those moments land like thunder. There's a visual language to these episodes that finally feels cinematic. Rain slashing through ruined cities. Quiet stares between characters who've lost everything. The Empire tightening its grip one brutal inch at a time. It's in those rare episodes where you think, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're telling the story this show was built for. Episodes like The Outpost and Truth and Consequences actually feel like part of a grander vision. They're focused, intense, and emotionally complex. There's no unnecessary detour, no tonal whiplash, just pure storytelling with stakes and soul. You can feel the tension building scene by scene. It's the closest the series ever gets to that Andor energy. The thing is, for all the Masinzes, the Bad Batch still matters, because it's asking the right questions even if it struggles with the answers. What do you become when your purpose is taken from you? How do you define identity when you were born to follow? That's fertile ground for Star Wars, and no other series is tackling it in quite the same way. It also speaks to a part of the fandom that doesn't always get the spotlight. The Clone Wars generation. The people who grew up on Rex and Cody and Fives. For them, these characters aren't side stories, they're the heart of the galaxy. And the Bad Batch is one of the few shows actually trying to carry that legacy forward. There's also hope in the fan response. When fans latch onto characters like Crosshair or Tech, it's because we see ourselves in their confusion, their loyalty, their pain, and that connection means something. It means there's still life in this series, even when the execution is shaky. And maybe, just maybe, that's what keeps the Bad Batch alive. Not because it's perfect, but because it's trying. Because every now and then it stumbles into real emotion, and we catch a glimpse of the story it wants to be. That story still has value, even when it's rough around the edges. So we hold on, hoping that next season, or the one after, they finally find their footing, and give these clones the story they truly deserve. At the end of the day, the Bad Batch is a story caught between two worlds. It wants to be bold, but plays it safe. It wants to say something deep, but keeps changing the subject. It wants to be Andor, but keeps falling back into Clone Wars light. And that's the real tragedy, because these characters deserved more. They were built for war, forced into survival, and now stand at the edge of something larger than themselves. And yet, their story keeps getting buried under side quests, tonal confusion, and a fear of going too dark. It's like watching a great novel torn up and rewritten as a coloring book. There's a version of the Bad Batch that could have rivaled Andor in emotional depth. A version where betrayal hit harder, where loyalty had a cost, where survival meant more than dodging laser blasts on a loop. We see glimpses of that version, but we never quite get to live in it. And that's what makes it bittersweet, because it's not a bad show. It's a nearly great one. It's a missed opportunity painted in bright colors and loud distractions. The kind of show that leaves you thinking more about what could have been than what actually was. So we salute the batch, and hope that someday someone finally tells their story the way it was always meant to be told. Thank you for watching the whole video. I make videos because of my love for Star Wars and Marvel. I've been asked countless times how I get my subtitles, and I generate them automatically with a tool I built. That same tool can be used here on my website. It's completely free and doesn't require signing up. My website contains the subtitle generator that is perfect for any video. Blogging post, where you can sign up with your email and receive notifications for when I post, and also my 3 channels. Critical Analysis Hub focuses on Star Wars and Marvel movies. Critical Analysis Hub Plus looks at Star Wars and Marvel shows. And Critical Analysis Hub XP centers on video games, like the Last of Us series, Jedi Survivor, and GTA 5. Thank you for being a fan.